Great to be here.
Great to be here. Great to be had. Great to be here with you.
Thank you. How's your day going so far? How's the press tour?
Oh, very well.
Yeah.
Just happy to be talking about the show so people can watch it. Yeah.
It's exciting. It's coming soon. The premiere's coming soon. Just a couple weeks away.
Yep.
Very exciting. I wanted to start by talking about the third character in this show, which is the city, the town of St Pierre. How did you stumble upon it? I read that you scouted the location for another project, and what was your initial thought when you were there, thinking, "Oh no, this needs to be for something else"?
Well, Newfoundland and St Pierre, Miquelon, we have a very storied history, and we have a really, really close relationship. We're both kind of stuck together, even though we're apart, in the middle of the North Atlantic, quite separate from the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. So there is a dynamic between the two cultures. There's always been a connection. It's been that way since, the colonialists, started to occupy North America. It's like as soon as people got to Saint Pierre and people were in Newfoundland, there was a connection, right? So it's been a part of our history. It's been a part of what we know almost as a cousin to Newfoundland. But it's one of those things that's a cousin that's on your peripheral and you're not. So when you're a kid and you're doing French immersion, which I didn't do, you went over there for a school trip, grade schools. A lot of kids who played hockey in tournaments went over there and billeted in homes and did their hockey tournaments, stuff like that. I wasn't a part of that, but in 2002, I did my first feature film there with John Vatra, who's one of our directors, one of our producers. He directed that film. It was our first time meeting each other. So I have an experience with it, but it was in February 20 odd years ago. So you're in the middle of something and you kind of forget about it, like a cousin again that you've kind of forgotten about. Then we went over to scout for Son of a Critch, and I was like, it was in the summer, and I was like, what? Yeah, what is this place? Where are we? I know what it is, but oh my God, how have I ignored you for so long? And it's like just something really special happened.
Josie, yourself, you're originally from France and you lived in Canada. So this is kind of this clash of those two cultures. So when you initially read the script and read for the character and wanted to audition for it, what was that process like mentally for you to be like, wow, this is a character that I is made for me, basically?
Oh yeah, you said it. It was made for me. I'm glad you said it. Because I keep on saying it. Sometimes it's just obvious. When you receive a project, you always try to project yourself into the character and the story, but you never know. You always think everything is made for you, but sometimes you can feel it in your bones. It's true. You're this is made for me. I can play anything. Yeah. Deep inside, it's not true. But
do we?
We try to convince ourselves. I don't know.
I'm learning that I'm maybe. Oh, and I see it. I'm like, oh yeah, right. But I still deep down, I'm like, I could have done that.
I could have done that. I could have been better. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm going to audition, but clearly this is not going to make it. This is not for me. But this one, I knew it. I knew about St Pierre because it's a French territory. I had heard about it, but I didn't know where it was in the world. It's very French, but it's not. It has a Canadian influence. We don't know what it is. It's something very unique and very special. Yeah. People in the crew were like, oh, you must be so happy to be filming in France. It's like home. It is like home, but it's also very different. I live in Paris, so there's nothing like Paris. There's nothing like Saint Pierre. It's and even in different parts of my country, it's so different. You go south of France, different accent, different food, different vibe, north. So I guess Saint Pierre is part of it. It's a different part of France that I didn't know really about. So it was interesting for me to discover this place because it's part of my country.
Your characters, Fitz and Arch, I love the names that you gave them. They flow so well together. I was thinking of all of the great duo detectives that we have in shows and throughout history, Sherlock and Watson,
Starsky and Hutch.
There's so many.
Hardcastle and McCormick. Simon.
Yeah, there's so many. Fitz and Arch work so well together. Was that intentional? Did you think about when the names when you were writing the characters?
It's interesting that you mentioned Sherlock, because the way Robina, my co-showrunner, and I, the way we always classify it is that there is no Watson. It's Arch and Fitz are Sherlock to each other's homes. That was a Robina line, but it was like, yeah, that's right, they're equal. There's no assistant in this dynamic, although Fitz sometimes feels like he might be. It's like he's, because he's in her domain, you know, but it's like, they're true equals. You say that at the end of
Equal
episode
footing.
2.
Yeah.
What is it?
Equal footing? Talking about...
Equal footing, equal something. Partnership?
Yeah, great partners.
Yeah. And it's like that was again Robina. It's like the two people who find each other that bring each other's game to the next level, even if they didn't want it to happen. That's kind of like the thing. And to their names, yeah. To be honest with you, here's how their names came about. I was obsessed with I have a friend of mine, his name is Donny Fitzpatrick. And I just love it. And they call him Fitz, you know, Fitzy. And I was like, for years, been playing hockey with him, and I was like, it's a great name for a character. I know a friend of mine created a show where Jason Priestley played a Fitz, but it's not that. It's just like, it's just such a Newfoundland nickname, Fitz. And I always, when I was a kid, there was a guy I played hockey with. They used to call him Fitz. His name was Fitzpatrick. Anyway, I was obsessed with that. And then I was like, well, if he has a nickname, she has to have a nickname. And I was alone when I came up with it. And I was like, and then Archambault, and then Arch. And I was like, this is it. It was almost the show title in my mind. But it wasn't, you know. So that kind of happened just really quickly. Their names came really quickly. I think Arch's name originally was Bailey.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But then, you know, Robina and I were watching Scott and Bailey. I watched Scott and Bailey a lot. It's a great Brit show. And I was like, okay, well, it can't be that. And that's where Arch came from. And I can't imagine her name being anything else. It's like
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Earlier today, I interviewed the cast of Allegiance, and when I told them that I was interviewing you guys, they said they want to cross over.
Yeah, no, so you're the second person to bring that up.
Yeah,
it's a cool idea. It would work too, because different parts of the country, and I love them. And Rico and I go way back. That's a cool idea. That's a really cool idea.
I was thinking during my break how that would work, and I was just thinking like very simply, port cities, you know, drug trading can work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. I'll call Robina. I'll be like, okay, she'd go downtown with that, like in her mind. She'd be like, ooh, over.
I want to ask you about your this. It's so funny. Your character has a sleepwalking issue. So I've only seen a little bit so far, but it's such a very funny and intentional, obviously, issue that he has. How did you come up with that concept that he has this sleepwalking issue? And I'm sure that I've yet to discover based on what I've seen. So I don't want you to give anything away, but the story behind him sleepwalking. How did you come up with that idea?
So in the writers' room, we were workshopping each character, all of our characters' sort of story, where they come from, what their backstory is, what's the layers that bring the person to life. And we were just kind of talking it through, and it's never, that storyline is kind of not resolved. So the idea of this series is that it goes on for a long time, and that it keeps rears its head inconsistently. Mm-hmm. So it was only 10 episodes in the first season, so we don't get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
We touch on it, but it's the beginning of a conversation, because what's going on with him? Mm-hmm. Where is he? How does he handle stress? We don't even really get to see much of that, because we're just getting to know him. Mm-hmm. But it was just dawned on me that the trauma of what he's gone through in his undercover work, and he's losing his family, and he's losing his life, you know, and he's putting that somewhere, and he's packaging it with this, like, I got this under control. He doesn't. So it's kind of seeps out. So it just came up one day in the writer's room, and when I said it, it's funny, so many of our writers have connections with people with sleepwalking. And I feel like I have a little bit of narcolepsy in me, so like, I feel like I was always on the edge of like, I could have been a sleepwalker. But anyway,
Yeah.
I think it's his emotional. He's putting something deep
Okay.
that he's got to deal with.
Yeah.
His body is going, hello, here I am.
Here I am.
And one of my favorite. No, you haven't seen the second episode.
I have watched the second episode.
So there's a moment with her where it's like, she's like catches him,
Yes, yes, at the end.
and she's like, "Damn it!
No, not now.
Are you sleepwalking?"
What are you
Yeah, that's cool.
One of my favorite elements of this show is this that's very different than other cop dramas. The clash of the cultures between French and Canadian. So I just want to ask you, what did your characters think of each other, without giving anything away? Especially when they're first introduced to each other, what do they think about each other and having to work with each other? Because you typically get cops that have to like jump to different precincts, things like that, but this is like cultural differences.
I had to do a movie once where I had to replace an actor for whatever reason. That was none of my business. And I was supposed to do a TV show. I was supposed to do an earlier season, couldn't do it. They asked me to come back when this other actor had to go away. And I walked in there after this person had already built a relationship with the core cast, and they had to reshoot all of his stuff. And I could tell they were pissed. Like, there was like a real tribal sort of something, like kid pushing me out of it. It lasted 10 minutes because they're actors, and they like, hey, once they can smell that you're one of them, they're like, they forget all that. But it was like, I just kind of like the idea of being an outsider in a room full of people who just don't want you. It's really quite fascinating to play with, because it's like you've got to like try to maintain your composure, your confidence, but you're also like not wanted, clearly, for whatever reason, and it's likely got nothing to do with you because they don't know you yet. So that was an interesting thing upon meeting Arch. And then it's like, who is this person when Fitz meets Arch? And it's like, why? Okay, I get it. She's not ready to make friends just yet, but she's got something to her, but she's got a real chip on her shoulder. But okay, like there's that kind of like real fun in games kind of thing that was really fun to play. And we barely knew each other when we were doing it, right? And so we were able to pretend that was probably something that was a part of our own dynamic, even though it wasn't. But.
Yeah, because we got to know each other at the same time that all characters got to know each other, and I think you can see the evolution of the relationship throughout the whole episodes. I mean, no, we're friends and we appreciate each other very much, and I think it reflects in the show. Clearly, she thinks he's a joke. She says it, like, this guy is a joke. Like, Marcus, what are you doing to me? I don't need this guy. Like, I do my job very well. Like, I'm independent. Yeah, but she's not, I mean, she's like, okay, like, stay away, but she keeps an eye on him, and very quickly she sees that he's good. And that's all she needs. Like, she doesn't need much. Like, just don't walk on my platform. I don't know if you say it in English. Maybe.
Step on my toes?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I like walking my platform.
Yeah. It's like literally the French translation. Anyways, as long as you don't bother me and you don't stop me from doing my job, it's okay. And then they get to know each other, and she will find out that he's a good guy, and they can work together very well together. And
And suspicious of him, and also Fitz has got a suspicion going on too, because in that first episode he's like, what kind of circus is this place? Sean Gallagher seems like he can do whatever he wants here. Are they corrupt? Is she corrupt? Are they all? Because there's a really interesting intrigue thing about St Pierre. It's like, in our version of it, the fictionalized version, it's like, you can do whatever you want from here to the EU.
Yeah.
So are they on the take to be a part of that? Is that happening? Am I witnessing that? Do I have to do something about it? Am I going to stay out of it? From Fitz's perspective, which was really fun too. Although it kind of got removed a little bit from the first episode, but it's kind of a present layer that was for me as a backstory to just be like, okay,
we're both like,
okay, you don't like me. I don't know what you are.
Okay.
What's the deal with this dude, this Irish dude, and why does he get to walk in and out of your police station? That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. I've only watched 2, and there's 8 more for me to watch, 10 for the rest of Canada to watch. So thank you for this interview. It's been wonderful talking to you.
Well, thank you.
Nice talking to you too.
Yeah.
This was a different conversation
Yeah.
than we've had, so it's nice because
That's great.
we've had
Thank you.
and grateful for the conversations we've had. Of course, it's fun for us to talk about it, but it's slightly different and kind of a different take on it. So appreciate that.